You want to know how to use a New Mexico LLC to maximize your privacy? You want to know the #1 way to own your home to keep contingency fee attorneys looking for deep pockets from knowing where you live? Here are the 9 secrets millionaires use to protect their assets from lawsuits, and pay special attention to number 8 because it's the most powerful. So imagine this, you're at home enjoying your evening when a knock at the door interrupts your peace. It's a process server with legal documents. You've been sued. Maybe your Instagram post about your recent vacation caught the attention of the wrong person. Perhaps your luxury car parked in the driveway suggested that you have deep pockets. Whatever the reason, you're now in the sights of a lawyer looking to make a meal out of your hard-earned wealth. And with 4.4% of the world's population, 80% of the world's lawyers, and 96% of the world's lawsuits in the US, it's more important than ever to maintain privacy. Thus, it's a wise financial strategy to keep a low profile and not become a lawsuit target. Drive a nice car, live in a nice house, post your vacation photos on Facebook. You've just poured blood into the water for the shark-like lawyers to attack and make what's yours theirs. So the importance of taking the necessary steps toward protecting your assets and maintaining a low profile really is crucial. That is, if you wish to avoid a bloody battle with lawsuits and creditors. The fact is especially true today since there are more and more lawsuits plaintiffs file every decade. Hi, I'm the business guy. I'm the CEO of Asset Protection Planners, the nation's largest asset protection firm. And the time is now to understand both asset protection and privacy techniques. I mean, face it, you could be the next victim of a lawyer who just wants an easy meal. So you should prepare yourself now. Protect yourself against the potential losses that could occur if you skip out on constructing your asset protection plan. You learn how to protect your assets and employ privacy techniques now, and you'll be in a lot better position. So there's no reason you should fear losing your assets in a potential lawsuit, that is, if you prepare ahead of time. That way you know that your lifestyle and your hard-earned wealth remain protected even when the predators start circling. And that way you can sleep easily, even if you do get caught in a row of legal teeth. And you'll make my teeth smile when you click the like button below so YouTube promotes this video. Thanks so much. And if you're new here or just need a friend, please click the subscribe button below so that when more videos like this come out, you'll be up to date right away. Asset protection privacy techniques. What this list is a set of asset protection techniques that I've established for clients for the past 34 years. And they can help you keep a low profile and keep your assets safe, not only for yourself and your immediate family, but future generations. Now, many people use a combination of the techniques that we're going to talk about in a bit to develop a secure asset protection plan. So, number 1 is a New Mexico LLC. Now, with a New Mexico LLC, you never have to file a list of managers. So you own the company, but who owns and manages the LLC is private. There's nothing in the public records disclosing ownership or management. So nobody can find out who owns it unless you actually tell them or a court forces your hand. And unlike Nevada, which as of this video charges well over $500 for the initial and annual business license fee on top of the setup fee, and $200 more for an LLC. The annual fee for a New Mexico LLC is $0. That's right, nothing. The only typical annual cost is the registered agent for service of process. And this is typically under a few $100. So you get substantial anonymity with very little maintenance cost. Now somebody says, well, the Corporate Transparency Act kills all of that. Well, first of all, if the courts still go along with the version of the CTA in the future, there are criminal penalties for using the beneficial ownership information report and disclosing it to the public. So only law enforcement can access it. So privacy is still alive if you know what to do. Number 2 is offshore LLCs, namely a Cook Islands LLC or Nevis LLC. Whereas the New Mexico LLC does not have to file a list of managers, it can be subpoenaed. Moreover, in seconds, anybody can look on the internet to see the company exists. Now, the Cook Islands or Nevis LLC cannot even be found online. Nevis is part of a former British colony. It's in the Caribbean southeast of Florida. The Cook Islands is part of New Zealand and located in the Pacific Ocean south of Hawaii. Now, our firm sets up thousands of companies in both places, so you can call us for more details, and the public record is just not visible on the internet. So nobody could easily know that the company was even created. Plus, you're dealing with offshore bank accounts in the name of the LLC. See? So therefore, you are working with a bank that some attorney down the street cannot simply force to cough up the information. So whereas the New Mexico LLC is good, the Cook Islands and Nevis LLCs are much better for use as a privacy tool. Okay, now let's talk about the benefits of the Nevis LLC, many of which apply to the Cook Islands LLC as well. First of all, the manager is not public, but can have 100% control. So the manager can have control even without any ownership. Creditors must post a bond before filing legal documents in Nevis against a member's ownership interest. Now, in 2018, the $100,000 limit on the bond was removed, and now the Nevis courts can impose a bond of any amount. So if somebody wants to sue you, they have to deposit a whole pile of money in Nevis before they can even start the suit. Courts will dismiss the case if the assets have been in the LLC for at least 2 years. That's a 2-year statute of limitations on fraudulent conveyance. An LLC or corporation in just about any country can become a Nevis LLC. So you can make a Wyoming LLC and you can turn it into a Nevis LLC. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt is required for a plaintiff to show that a transfer into the LLC was made with the intent to delay creditor. Now, unlike most states in the U.S., multi-member and single-member LLCs get asset protection benefits. Charging orders against LLCs' membership interests fall off in 5 years. In the U.S., it's say like 20 to 24 years that somebody puts on a U.S. LLC will glom onto that LLC for a long time. Unlimited number of members is available. Any person or company can own it. There's not a tax in Nevis for income produced outside of Nevis, but U.S. people are taxed on worldwide income, including the income the LLC makes. Members can reside in pretty much any country. It can be merged with foreign or domestic companies. A one-owner LLC is available, and members or owners may assign their interest to anybody unless it's restricted. And managers can be members or they can be non-members. There can be various membership powers. For example, certain classes of membership can have greater voting power, a favorable choice for a group of investors. So unlike a general partner of a limited partnership that has liability, there is limited liability protection for all members, including the controlling members. It can be established within 24 hours, and it usually delivers within 7 days. Low initial and annual fees. So those are the benefits of the Nevis LLC. Many of those benefits also apply to the Cook Islands LLC. Tool number 3 is the Wyoming Corporation. Now, when you name a corporation, most states and countries require a corporate designator at the end of the name. So corporate designators include the words such as corporation, incorporated, limited, and their abbreviations, Corp, Inc., and Ltd. In Wyoming, a corporate designator is not required. Here's what that means. That if your name is Pat Gunderson, you can name your corporation Pat Gunderson without the Inc. or Corp as an ending. So suppose you have a judgment against you and you receive a check payable to yourself. Do you think it would be beneficial to deposit it into your corporate account? Since your corporation has its own tax ID number, there's no easily traced direct tie back to you. So you can have a trusted family member or friend be the signatory of the corporate account, with an emphasis on the word trusted, by the way. Now, you can perhaps have your hands on the debit card. So now you have an avenue to cash checks payable to you. So instead of depositing a check and have that money automatically seized from the judgment, now you have an avenue to cash checks payable to you without making it easy for somebody to just come in and scoop your account dry without prior notice. Can this tactic survive an all-out legal assault? Well, it really depends. First, your opponent, we need to know that the company exists, and it would be more likely to survive a legal onslaught with the additional tools we'll talk about in a little bit. So whether or not it can withstand a strong legal storm, it gives you an opportunity to conveniently cash checks made payable to you. Now, this company has witnessed multiple people use this technique successfully and fly under the radar for years and years. So number 4 is the Wyoming LLC plus the privacy tools. First of all, you set up a Wyoming LLC. Next, to work properly, your Wyoming LLC needs 3 additional services. First of all, a Wyoming virtual office program. Now, this program offers an address and telephone number for your company. So if anybody comes sniffing around to see if your company is associated with you, there will not be an obvious trail. Number 2, the nominee officers and directors service. Now, since officers and directors are listed in the public records, having a nominee, meaning in name only, serves as officers and directors of your company. So you can maintain control, having the shareholder voting rights in your hands or the hands of a trusted family member, trust, or associate. Number 3, nominee shareholder. So by having a nominee shareholder, if somebody asks, do you own the company? You can honestly say that you do not. Depending on your legal circumstances, you may even want to have the company owned by your spouse, kids, parents, or trusted associate. A nominee shareholder agreement can give you the say-so over corporate activities, but keeps your ownership at arm's length. Okay, now number 5, the land trust. A land trust is a trust used for holding real estate titles. When you establish a land trust, you can own your property in the name of the trust/trustee instead of your own name personally. So what this does is this keeps your name out of the public records. What shows up publicly is the name of the trust and the trustee can be a trusted friend or relative, or better yet, a Wyoming LLC that you own privately that has nominee managers and a Wyoming virtual office. So we provide all those services, so give us a call. That way, if somebody does a public record search and all of your real estate holdings are in separate land trusts, your name does not appear in the search. So this allows you to keep your real estate ownership private and away from prying eyes. Now, you can establish a land trust for your personal residence and additional land trusts for each piece of income property, and that's what we usually do for clients. You can also put a second home in another land trust or other types of real property. Now, the Garn-St. Germain Depository Institutions Act of 1982 prevents a bank from calling a loan due when you transfer the property into a land trust, as long as you remain a beneficiary of the trust and the property consists of 1 to 4 dwelling units. So where are land trusts legal? So land trusts are currently in use in all 50 states. We've set them up for people across the country. Some state statutes address land trusts and others do not. Now, the state code does not need to specifically address this type of trust in order to be legal. I mean, not every facet of life has been codified into law. For example, state or federal law does not address the manner in which you style your hair in order for a particular hairstyle to become legal. It does not dictate how many books you may or may not own or the color of your shoes. So in cases like this, common law dictates. Land trust law. Now, common law has to do with what activities have generally been accepted over the centuries. It's unwritten law, especially that originating from England based on custom or based on court decisions rather than from written or statutory law. Now, common law certainly does permit the use of trusts own real estate. There's no doubt about that. Now, keep in mind that land trusts are not asset protection vehicles. They are privacy vehicles. And it's considered best practices for each land trust that owns income property to have a separate LLC as its beneficiary. So this both cloaks the ownership with a land trust and provides additional asset protection, a lawsuit protection with the LLC to help protect the affiliated human beings from litigation. For homeownership tax benefit purposes, it's generally recommended that natural persons remain the beneficiaries of land trusts that own your personal residence. And this can help maintain the interest deduction, the property tax adjustments, and the sizable tax-free profits upon the sale of the property. Number 6, family LLCs or family limited partnerships. Now, both family LLCs and family limited partnerships offer a good deal of asset protection and privacy from creditors and lawsuits. So with either one of these entities, you can put your assets into the actual company or the partnership. You can have nominee managers for your LLC, so your name does not appear in the public records. If you do use an LP, we suggest the general partner, since they're vulnerable to lawsuits against the partnership, that you place an LLC as the general partner of the LP as a liability shield. So picture yourself putting your assets securely into the company or partnership. First, it can protect your privacy. Then, because of the asset protection provisions inherent in each of these entities, it can shield your assets. Thus, an LLC or LP can shield your assets from a creditor trying to seize them when you happen to find yourself in a lawsuit. Number 7, domestic asset protection trust. These trusts allow you to hold assets privately, and in some cases, such as California, you need to be aware that how you structure an irrevocable trust for asset protection and privacy determines whether you'll receive either. For instance, in California and many other states, forming your own irrevocable trust and listing yourself as the beneficiary eliminates its ability to protect assets from creditors. To sum it up, if you are the beneficiary of your irrevocable trust in certain states, you're giving away your asset protection and privacy because this type of trust cannot legally protect you from creditors. It's considered a self-settled trust. Now, there are certain states that allow self-settled trust to provide asset protection, and these states do let individuals form irrevocable asset protection trusts that name themselves as beneficiaries. So they allow people to form these trusts in this manner and still retain the protection from creditors. Now, in states that do allow self-settled trusts, a trust like this can help you shield yourself from creditors and losses. Now, it's very important for you to understand that where the trust is domiciled determines whether or not you can use it for privacy and asset protection planning. Now, there's case law wherein if the beneficiary of the trust does not also reside in the jurisdiction that allows self-settled trust for asset protection, the trust can be penetrated. For example, a California, Texas, or Florida, or New York resident who sets up a Nevada trust is not well protected when you study the actual case law. And that's why the offshore trusts we'll talk about in a little bit show much more favorable case law history. Okay, now here's the granddaddy of them all, the most powerful tool, number 8, the offshore asset protection trust. Now, offshore asset protection trusts are a huge step up and take asset protection and privacy to a whole new level. Asset protection trusts in the Cook Islands, Nevis, and Belize allow self-settled trusts that provide powerful asset protection. Whereas U.S. judges have jurisdiction over U.S. trusts, having an offshore trust, offshore trustee, which in our case is our offshore law firm, as well as an offshore account, takes much of the decision-making out of the hands of the local court. So in the 30 plus years I've been personally in this business, I've never seen one of our trusts have a trust settler or a beneficiary lose funds from an offshore trust that we've established. So among all of the legal tools available, the offshore asset protection trust has shown to be the most powerful asset protection tool for liquid assets. So your offshore trust will own 100% of an offshore LLC. And I'll tell you why. The offshore LLC holds a bank and or stock brokerage account, and you're the initial signatory on that account until it's time for our law firm trustee to step in and protect you from a judge ordering you to bring the money back. Now, our law firm trustee is licensed, bonded, vetted for over 30 years, and so you'll know that they have a track record of trust and integrity. So let's talk about statute of limitations. When you put your assets into a Cook Islands trust, they're protected immediately. On top of that, there's a 1 to 2 year statute of limitations for fraudulent transfer into the Cook Islands trust. So when you establish a Cook Islands trust and you place your assets into it, if your opponent beats the clock and files a lawsuit in the Cook Islands before the deadline, it's unlikely that your opponent could reach the assets. However, if you put your assets into the trust and they've been in the trust for 2 years or more, it's almost impossible for your opponent to reach them, and that's because the courts will even refuse to hear a case after that time. Okay, now the trustee, can you trust the trustee? The trustee has to go through excruciating background checks in order to obtain a license. The trustee is bonded by an insurance company that can make you whole in the event of misconduct. Plus, I've been in the business for over 30 years, and I have yet to see a settler or beneficiary treated unethically, except for in one case, and that was a trust in Chicago, a U.S. trust, but never in the offshore trust world that we work in the Cook Islands, Belize, or Nevis. Now, keep in mind, the only time the trustee would step in anyway is when the courts would take the money. So let's say you are sinking in a rowboat in the middle of the ocean and a cruise ship goes by. Are you going to tell the captain, I would climb aboard your ship, but what if it sinks? Or are you just going to climb aboard? And it's the same here. You only need the trustee to step in when you feel the financial boat is sinking. Okay, let's go to number 9, offshore captive insurance companies. Now, offshore captive insurance companies offer substantial ongoing tax deductions at a very reasonable price. So, not usually considered a privacy tool, it offers tremendous benefits in other areas that's worth mentioning. First, let's address the captive insurance program as a powerful tool for those with extra cash flow who want to take advantage of a huge federal tax loophole. So if you want to protect that extra cash as well as giving yourself some extra privacy and asset protection, forming your own insurance company, so it's really a licensed insurance company internationally, and paying that company insurance premiums provides you with an excellent shield from losing that excess wealth in a legal attack. So here's how it works. Number one, you establish your own insurance company. In fact, we get licenses for these insurance companies, preferably in an offshore jurisdiction where the cost is less. Number two, your local company pays insurance premiums to your offshore or captive insurance company. That'll be a separate account in that company's name. You can even be the signatory on that account. And number three, the Internal Revenue Code, Section 831B, allows your insurance company to earn, last time I checked, was up to $2.3 million per year, and this changes each year, in premium tax-free. So whether it is State Farm or your own captive insurance company, that first chunk of money every single year up to that amount, and it changes each year, it keeps going up each year, is totally tax-free to the insurance company and tax deductible as an ordinary and necessary business expense to your own company that pays it. And tip number four is you own your offshore captive insurance company inside of your offshore asset protection trust. So your company gets to deduct the premiums, like we said, as an ordinary and necessary business expense. And then your insurance company, which made a 953D election, gets to claim the premiums as tax-free up to, say, $2.3 million as of last check. So your premiums can turn out to be income tax deductions. Now, furthermore, as mentioned, you can hold the shares of your insurance company in an offshore irrevocable asset protection trust. And the main benefit of this type of approach is that by being owned by the trust, the premium payments and accumulated income is shielded from creditors. And it's super important to let you know, make sure you get a vetted CPA who has experience with captive insurance companies. The IRS loves to audit these things, so just make sure if you decide to use this technique that you're doing it legally according to the tax code, that you can survive an audit, and you probably will be audited if you use this particular tool. So those are some of the many privacy tools that we put in place for our clients. So if you have questions or want to protect your assets or enhance your privacy, give our asset protection attorneys and consultants a call at 1-954-400-1050 or fill out a free consultation form at assetprotectionplanners.com. So please click like, subscribe, and text a link of this video to others, and we'll see you next time. This is The Business Guy.